What's up guys, I'm Mr. Audio, and if you're new to the channel, welcome. In this video, we're going to talk about how to stack hip-hop vocals, what to look out for, what not to do. Let's get into it. Okay, so first we're going to look at how the chorus or hook of the track sounds, and we're also going to take a look into the verse too. We're first going to listen to how they sound, and then I'm going to show you how I got there. So here's everything in the context of the mix first. Let's get a feel for how it sounds, you know what I mean?
I know who I am. I never be coming with scams. I know who I am. Keeping myself out of jams. I know who I am. A son of a king I am. I know who I am. I know who I am.
Alright, it sounds full, it sounds super big and wide, and it's got all the juice that a good chorus or hook vocal needs. Now the problem with stacking rap vocals is that the performer has to be very consistent. The problem when manually tuning rap vocals, spoken vocals, the pitch detector has a hard time detecting it to begin with, so when moving it up and down, it can tend to sound unnatural and robotic. In this particular case, I had some trouble manually tuning the stacks to the lead vocal, so I opted for some false doubles and false harmonies. Now that's not saying when stacking rap vocals that I never pitch correct in timeline, because I do. There's actually a song I'll link down in the description called No Rest by King Alpha, where I actually tuned in timeline 5 vocal takes together to make that sound. See, when I'm recording with an artist, I make sure to get 4 or 5 good takes of everything they do. Vocals, guitars, drums, bass, anything that you record into the system that isn't made, like a VST instrument of some sort, I make sure I get 5 good performances. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to use all of those, and I'm not saying you need all of those, but for consistency, I like really good, tight performances, so that less editing the better. You know, if I can just take and chop it out, chop it out, chop it out, less quantizing, less distorting the audio, we'll get a better quality product at the end. Now, when stacking rap vocals, I like to tune and timeline the lead first, mute everything else. Don't worry about anything till you got that down. Then I kind of process it and get it the way I like it sounding, and then I take that audio and copy it down to another track. Let me show you what I'm talking about. It would be essentially me going like this and freezing the track. And then I take and select all this audio, and I can just drag it down. But we're not going to do that because we've already done that. And after I've processed the audio, drug it down to a new track, I throw an instance of Nectar on it. Now, I'm activating the harmony module, set it to voices only, and put a unison far left and far right at full volume. I also turn pitch correction on to activate the formant settings. And then I lower the formants just a little bit to give it a thickness and a lower voice register vibe. So what formant is doing is it's shifting everything that's non-pitch related. It makes it sound like it's pitch related, but it's really just the tone of the vocal performance. So I lower the formants on this, and that's what this sounds like on its own. Let's give it a listen.
I know who I am. I never be coming with scams. I know.
Now let's hear the lead vocal.
I know who I am.
Now I'll bring it
I
in.
never be coming with scams. I know who I am. Keeping myself out of jams. I know who I am.
As you can see, it already sounds really thick just with adding that track in. But we're not done. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, so this track right here is a vocoder track. So I threw a transient shaper on it and lowered the attack just a little bit to soften it up and make it not so aggressive going into the vocoder. So then we open up the vocoder and it's Isotope's Vocalsynth 2. I've activated 2 modules on here, the BioVox and the PolyVox. I threw the nasal up a little bit and the gate at about -43 and width at 100%. I turn MIDI mode on, which I've got a video, I'll link it down in the description, that shows you how to do all this stuff. What I can do is I can set this track, this vocoder right here, to follow this MIDI information right here. So for every instance of Isotope's Vocalsynth 2 that you have, you also, if you want it to be controlled by MIDI notes, have to have its own MIDI track to control it. That's why there's these 3 tracks right here. They're all controlling different vocal synths. This is a vocal synth track, this is a vocal synth track, and this is a vocal synth track. And they're all doing slightly different things. Let's just listen to the vocal synth track on its own and see how it sounds.
I know who I am. I never be coming with scams. I know who I am. Keeping myself out of jams, I know.
We're just going to turn this filter off and see if it makes a big difference.
I know who I am.
Ooh.
I never be coming with scams, I know who I am.
As you can see, with that top end there, it's a bit harsh, and it's got a little bit too much low end energy too. So this filter really helps dumb it down and just kind of keep it in the background. All right, now let's hear what it sounds like with those two unisons we made too.
I know who I am. I never be coming with scams, I know who I am.
Man, that sounds really nice. Let's play just the lead. I'll add the two tracks in there. Then I'll take them back out, play the mix with just the lead. Then I'll add them back in to see if it makes a big difference. I guarantee you're going to be surprised at how big of a difference it makes. So here's just the lead.
I know who I am. I never be coming with scams, I know who I am.
Now those voices.
Keeping myself out of jams, I know who I am.
And now here it is with the mix.
I know who I am. I never be coming with scams, I know who I am.
Now let me add those voices in.
Keeping myself out of jams, I know who I am. A son of a king I am, I know who I am.
See how it adds so much thickness and fullness? It makes it sound big and wide, and it just takes up the whole stereo image. Now let's move along and see what I did to the verse, all right? Now it's similar, but not as busy, all right? Let's check it out. Let's give this verse a listen here first, all right?
I call it the treasure, it's only my pleasure. I call it a measure to please. I'm blowing this diamond, I smoke with the plug, who keeping me loaded with trees. I call it a fact, don't need your opinion. Yes, I'm the one, I'm keeping the million. Flexing my brain, it's really convenient. Whatever I say, they know that I mean it. They say that I bleed it, been keeping my ground for years. I speak it and breathe it, you never believe it. I promise I shedded some tears.
So let's unpack that. All right, so as you can see here, I have manually turned down every single breath that I felt was going to interfere with the performance before I manually tuned it. This is a big thing with pro producers. They like to manually turn down a lot of things using clip gain. I just don't feel like people are utilizing clip gain as well as they should. Moving on. So once you've taken care of your breaths and you manually tuned it and processed it, bring your audio down here. Now, you want to play with the volumes. You want it to sit right in the mix, you know what I mean? So you can't have the backup vocals overpowering the lead vocals. It's just not going to work. You got to find that balance. And this is all taste-based, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of mixed to taste. For instance, right here, I deactivated those unisons, and right here as well. But what's happening is the music drops down right here. The beat drops down low, so I felt like the vocals had to, you know, and then when it was picking back up again, I wanted it to really shine, so I turned up those unisons really loud, about 4 dB louder than normal, so it sounded like this.
Whatever I say, they know that I mean it.
Sounds super wide for a moment, and then it goes into this demon distorted vocals, which you can use formants to shift them down, and then use a saturator. Let's unfreeze this and look at this. I use an EQ to hit this frequency really hard into the saturator, 215 hertz, and it gave me that really nice, thick, demon distorted sound that I was going for. I mean, it was only happening for a phrase too, just to give it some extra flavor, if you know what I mean. It just kind of helps the vocal not sound so monotonous throughout this whole long, you know, however many bars this verse is. So let's just recap here. Let's listen to the lead vocal again and see where we were before and see where we are now. So here's just the lead vocal in the context of the mix. Then I'll add those tracks back in.
I know who I am. I never be coming with scams, I know who I am.
I'm adding back in now.
Keeping myself out of jams, I know who I am. A son of a king I am, I know who I am.
And as you can see, the difference is mind-boggling. To go from what we had originally with just lead vocal to this monstrosity of a huge vocal production, like the difference is huge. You can't argue with results, and I've produced some pretty damn good results here. Anyway, this brings me to the conclusion of our video. If you stuck around the end and you're an Ableton user, there's some free racks with links in the description. There's also some updates coming to those racks soon. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Mr. Audio, out.